This is my time, faster than ever, hungry and I'm going to come back and take what is mine, bigger and better. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Some things are different, but nothing has changed. Still got my number, still got my name. Tell everybody I'm back in the game. Saddle, cut to the chase. I ain't somebody who stays in one place. Ready to go, I'm coming to play. You better know I still got something to say. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Some things are different, but nothing has changed. Still got my number, still got my name. Tell everybody I'm back in the game. match I couldn't handle. No one else could ever hold a candle. Get ready for a battle, cause you know that I was born for this. I was born for this. Never met a match I couldn't handle. No one else could ever hold a candle. Get ready for a battle, cause you know I was born. I tell you I was born for this. Ain't nothing gonna stop me now. I was born for this.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Crown Jewel E Late Model Stock Car Series. Tonight, it's the finale of Season 1 with dramatic flair, sparks flying everywhere. We come to one of the shortest, fastest action places to go. That's going to be Southern National Motorsports Park for race number 10 of the season. As again, this has been the Crown Jewel event. We're running all around the short tracks throughout this season, and tonight, giving a little bit of a throwback to that of the Thanksgiving Classic for the drivers here. Last week, a lot of shenanigans happened. We were delayed from when we originally were planning on getting started. This week, we're on time. That means we're also going to be having the right amount of laps as well. 200 laps expected here tonight for these drivers, for that of seeing who can get the win this season. Speaking of this season, the points have been tallied and the drivers were given notice as we were finally given an update on points, and it's Justin Brooks leading the way with his total of 272 points over that of Alex McCullum with 258 points. Now, for Justin Brooks to be crowned a champion, all he needs to do is make sure that not 20 drivers show up here tonight. And for that of Alex McCullum, he's going to need at least 20 drivers to show up. Otherwise, all the points would be enough for Justin Brooks to lock in his championship for this season before we even go green. But for tonight's race, it's going to be again at Southern National Park. This track being 0.4 miles in length, banking ridiculous. Drivers looking for one lane, and that's getting as low as possible here tonight. Drivers expected to keep as low as they can, but overall, should be a good race. Thanks for joining us Wednesday night short track action. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me later on will be Justin Prince, as well as having the background of that of LSRTV studios, giving us all the pictures, graphics for tonight. We've got ourselves a total of looking around potentially 12 drivers racing to potentially that of just 11 on who gets logged in. Justin Brooks looking like the fastest driver so far, with Alex McCullum right behind him by that of 0.05 of a second. But we're 3 minutes away from drivers getting ready for qualifying, and this should be an interesting race overall. We saw Justin Brooks get a couple of wins this season. We've seen Alex McCullum get himself into victory lane. There are a few drivers coming into this race that we haven't seen for a while. One of those drivers being Ryan Matthews, who we can see in plenty of other short track series here on LSRTV. He's been fast and quick in a lot of different races this season. We'll see if he can try to come in and conquer. Last week, it was a very short field, small field that we had, a shorter race of only 150 laps, but it certainly was a scrapyard by the end of the night. Drivers were beating and banging off one another at Martinsville. Here tonight could be seeing a similar factor, but it could be a lot more on the drivers themselves trying to get back on the throttle with these late models. Could be hazardous out of the exit of the corner. But for tonight race means cooler temperatures as we take a look at our weather conditions, sponsored by LSRTV, as it's going to be ambient temperatures of 67, wind going to be only 6 miles per hour. Shouldn't really be a focus for the drivers here tonight of hurting them, but the track temp being that of 69 Fahrenheit. It's pretty good on the weather-wise. for these drivers, maximum grip. Once they get those tires lit up to that temperature that they want after a lap or two, it's going to be the key. Can we survive a lap or two, or will we see a lot of quick cautions coming out? As we're 2 minutes away from qualifying, where all these drivers, because it's a smaller field, will be making it through qualifying, but the mind games is what's going to be the key. We saw last week, Race Control was racing with these drivers. I'm curious if Race Control is going to race again, because if Race Control does race and qualify, could be a factor on the fact that that would then be 13 drivers trying to get logged in and racing, and top 12 get inverted. So this could be a thing to watch out for. Race Control last week was that of Caleb Hall. We haven't got notified on who's running the Race Control vehicle this evening. My pick, is most likely it's Caleb Hall, on the fact that he's put down some times. 5th fastest currently is Race Control. And also you see there the 51, that was being Bradley Wilson. Wilson's been a driver tonight. Goal, survive and make it to the end. That is going to be the toughest task for a lot of these drivers overall tonight, on the fact that there is no fast repair for the featured event. 200 laps, got to try to keep yourself out of trouble. And this 51 has been having terrible luck of keeping himself out of trouble. Either he puts himself in a bad situation, or the bad situation finds him. So Bradley Wilson hoping to survive to make it to the end of the race. Some other drivers are hoping to make it to the end of the race. That of Brad Carpenter in the 31, another driver that's hoping to keep himself in his nose out of any type of scenarios. But another driver that's out on track, that is going to be the 60 of Sean English. And Sean English, only seen Sean for a race a couple of times this season, but he's been very aggressive at times on track. Wouldn't be surprised if we see some early yellows. If no one decides to go to the outside because of the choose rule here, racing for the Crown Jewel E-Late Model Series, this 60 machine could be one of those drivers that decides to go to the outside and go for a opportunity, gain positions, and go for the risk. But first, before we get to racing action, we got to get through qualifying, and that's what we're lining ourselves for. Is going to be ourselves 10 minutes of qualifying for all these drivers, see who can get the fastest time. Now, like we've had all season long, each driver going to have 4 laps possible for themselves, as Bradley Wilson hits the track first for himself. Wilson going to be starting off his time, and for these drivers, their times can get invalidated. Now, how do they get invalidated? Well, that's driving too low and touching the apron, or going up and hitting the outside wall. That's going to be a quick starter lap for the 51 of 14.589. Going to be for Bradley Wilson. First driver to put a time down, but a lot of these drivers have been picking and choosing when they want to go out. The fastest competitors usually wait until the very end because of the invert. If you're one of the fastest drivers during qualifying, you'll be placed to the end of the line. There wasn't an invert last week. I'm curious if the drivers checked on that to see if the invert was still there. Here's going to be Edwards in the 72. And Bladen Edwards is going to be a driver that I'm curious on what speed the 72 is going to have for us tonight. Driver that has the potential of being a top 5 contender, and at the same time also has the potential of just battling out to try to make it into the top 10. But here during qualifying, got to beat that of 46 thousand off of our leader, that being Carpenter. As I say that, though, it gets changed up, it expands. That's because Alex McCullum in the 8 decided to put down a burner of a time for himself. But here comes the 11 on our ticker, 51 on track. So we're going to have 2 51s. This being Ryan Matthews. Ryan Matthews, again, a driver we've seen in other series perform well. He has rivaled and contended with Alex McCullum. But will Matthews be fast enough here tonight to put down a fast time? Well, backing out on that first go will be that of the 11. And here comes one of our 33s. It's the 133, Steele Langford. And Langford, think back to last week, most of the season, aggressive is what the name of the game is for Steele. And he's certainly going to be aggressive here tonight. Wants to get a good qualifying time, going to warm up those tires. And also want to give a note, Race Control has put down a time. So that means if you do not go out there and qualify, you will not be a part of the invert. So you got to make sure you at least put one lap down. And if there's a driver that decides, you know what, I'm not going to qualify, you could be in the pole award if you're the last driver to put qualifying laps in. As Langford, first lap goes down, going to be 7th fastest, and it looks like for the 133, going to be his first good lap. Ryan Matthews going to be going with the 1 lap at a time as well strategy, just trying to warm up those tires for one solid go. Across the line, going to be that of a 14.451. Where does he lie? Second, right behind that of Alex McCullum, who is still the fastest lap for the 8 machine. Who, as well, Alex McCullum, want to give note, still has 1 lap in his back pocket waiting to go. And he saw there for a moment, that's going to be Justin Brooks sitting on pit road. And with the amount of drivers that have shown up here tonight so far, that 33 machine will be your Season 1 champion of this series, as Peyton Howell up to 3rd with that lap right there. That's a 14.474 for, again, the 052 of Peyton Howell. Wally Wilson of the 69. Haven't seen Wilson in quite a while, but Wally Wilson, another driver I would say is in the category of looking for a good top 10 finish for himself. Should be interesting to see how the 69 wants to fray. As the time's ticking down, we've got ourselves 6 minutes left in qualifying. Alex McCullum, top of the board for the 8. Second place is Ryan Matthews in the 11. And Peyton Howell going to be 3rd for that 052. Those top 3 all within a 10th of one another. Technically our top 4 all within a 10th, as Race Control is 4th on the board. On the track now, it's going to be the 28. It's going to be Preston D'Amelio. And D'Amelio was planned to and scheduled to race last week. Missed out on the start out of Martinsville. We'll see if he can make it out here tonight for Southern National. Gonna reset, try again. Is gonna be D'Amelio. Not the best first lap for the 28 machine, as we are now halfway through qualifying. See that timer? That is because that first lap, because he never finished, it's gonna reset. And here we go. Preston D'Amelio, that first lap, we'll scrap it away, throw it away. And now the 28 goes for his first opportunity. 10 drivers put a qualifying lap down. Still got a handful still to try to put their first lap in. And for that, a D'Amelio first lap going to be a 14.734. That is the slowest of all the drivers so far. And because of messing up that first lap, D'Amelio only going to have 3 opportunities. Now only have 1 more to go. And you can see there, such a drop-off from that first lap. That was 2/10 slower. Already feeling that tire wear degradation kick in just after 1 lap. A lot of these drivers, they like to prefer set up for 1 lap, go for another, and that last lap was not fast enough. Preston D'Amelio, 11th, but that is a good spot to be. But there are still 4 other drivers to put a time down. And I say that's a good spot. Again, the top 12 get inverted. So if you're 11th or 12th, you'll be starting on that front row when this race starts. And speaking of the race and starting, we're less than 4 minutes away from us getting the green to go to our featured event. 200 laps here at Southern National Motorsports Park. This is the final race of the season for that of the Crown Jewel E Late Model Stock Car Series. And as we are coming down to the final 3 minutes and 30 seconds, still waiting for some of these fast drivers to get on track. They're going to wait until the very last moment. So we'll step aside. When we come back, we'll check out that of Justin Brooks and others on their qualifying time.
Hey, it's broadcast personality Wesley Outland, and for the 2nd year in a row, the Community Radio Network is excited to also be the voice of iRacing on LSRTV every Monday and Thursday night with the Northwest Racing Series for Cup and Truck. Join yours truly, Justin Prince and Samuel Dyer, every week as they race towards a championship. We're also on the radio in the Triangle in the Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina area at 87.5 WCRN and anywhere worldwide at wearecrn.com. Click play. Check out the coverage, the power of radio to the imagination of the listener, esports style. We are the Community Radio Network, the voice of iRacing on LSR TV. Check it out when you can, and replays are always up too. it's broadcast personality Wesley Outlet up topside at one of the great racetracks of the world, the Caraway Speedway. And I'd like to remind you to join us every Wednesday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern with coverage of Finish Line, where we talk to everybody from NASCAR to grassroots, like right here at Caraway Speedway. Carolina's Fox Sports Radio affiliates, iHeartRadio, and on the Community Radio Network at 87.5 FM. And remember, thanks to Live Sim Racing Productions, you can actually see the guest panel, ask their questions, get interactive with us with comments, and so much more in our chat box. Finish Line every Wednesday. Join us every week.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the last minute and 30 seconds of qualifying for that of the Crown Jewel E-Late Model Stock Car Series on LSRTV. My name is Sam Dyer. Expecting to have Justin Prince join me later on here this evening, as this is the final race of the season for the E-Late Model Stock Car Series. This is going to be at Southern National Motorsports Park, and currently right now during qualifying, it's Alex McCullum and Ryan Matthews top of the board for themselves. But is that where you want to be? Now the top 12 will be inverted, and currently right now 12 drivers have put their time on the board, that being Preston D'Amelio and Wally Wilson being 11th and 12th, and they'll technically, when the race starts, they would be posted and pushed to being that front row. Still waiting on some drivers, and this is a driver that we've got all of our eyes on, Justin Brooks in the 33. This is what he usually does, waits until that very last moment to put a time down. Justin Brooks, all he needs to do is beat out Wally Wilson's time, and he would have that pole award. This is the mind games that we've been seeing Justin Brooks pull all season long. Once they've implemented the invert, and the drivers learned about where the invert was. And here comes that first lap. Not expected to be too fast, and going to be set right in that prime spot. Justin Brooks figures out the time and places himself in that 12th place position, and is going to be in that, not going to get the official pole award, but will be starting in first place as Wally Wilson gets pushed out. That of going to be seeing also another couple of drivers further on back. But because of the fact that we have less than 16 drivers, we will have no LCQ. So the drivers immediately been pushed into a 5-minute warm-up time. So we'll be just sitting here and waiting for the drivers to get themselves situated and ready to go. And thank you for joining us on LSR TV, your home for sim racing. Drivers this season, we've seen a lot of different winners. It all started out with a very dramatic and flared-full races at that of Myrtle Beach, where we got to see that of a lot of drivers racing hard against one another. Dustin Mombercat really hard charging and going for any types of wins. He won 2 out of the 3 races that first week. And we got to see Justin Brooks winning the second week, and a lot of other drivers throughout this series have found themselves into victory lane, as this is going to be race number 10 of the season, last race of the season. And we were talking about points at the start of the broadcast, and the fact that Justin Brooks is leading them with 272 points over that of Alex McCullum. Now that's only 14 points between one another. It's a pretty big margin when you think of short track racing. And for that of Justin Brooks, all he has to do is finish in that of 13th position, and he will find himself becoming the champion of this series. Certainly is going to be a big test for himself here tonight, especially on the fact that here at Southern National, drivers going to be on top of one another, all trying to get to that inside lane to maximize their speed. But I think what's going to be more interesting on the fact is the fact that Alex McCullum, because of qualifying as fast as he did, will be placed at the back of the field, back to middle of the field, while Justin Brooks is going to have that pole award. He'll be up front, out of trouble, and to the 33, hoping not to get ran over, while the 8 is probably going to be beaten, battered, and bruised by the time that he gets up to the front. Now, the drivers will have stage racing here tonight, like we've seen all season long. Stage 1 going to be on lap 55, while stage 2 will be on lap number 10. At those stage breaks, the drivers will be having 1 extra set of tires to work with, and you have to make a decision. Do I want tires at the end of stage 1 or at the end of stage 2? We've seen a lot of the drivers pick the end of stage 2 just because they feel like their tires can make it to that point of lap 110. That way you've got the shortest amount of distance, the most grip and tire usage to maximize at the very end. A couple of more drivers have entered into the fray of this race here late. I think some of them might have missed the cue on when this session was going to start up. Rocky Boyd has now found himself into the warm-ups, but the question is, who's going to start this race? Last week, we had that of around 11 to 12 drivers that were in the session, but only 8 taking the grid, and by the end of the night at Martinsville for 150 laps, we only had 5 drivers finishing out the race. So tonight, will we have a similar state of having a large amount of drivers through warm-ups and then not able to make it to the actual racing grid up, or do we see the majority of these drivers making it to the end? Thank you again for joining us on LSRTV. My name is Sam Dyer. Justin Prince will be joining us here shortly as we are getting ourselves ready to go racing here in 1 minute and 30 seconds. Thank you for joining us again, as this is the Crown Jewel Elite Model Stock Car Series, race number 10, the finale of season 1 for that of the Thanksgiving Classic at Southern National Motorsports Park. Points are on the line. Justin Brooks, Alex McCullum, they're going to be the drivers to watch out for here tonight. All Justin Brooks needs to do, finish 14th or better, and he'll be clinching up the championship. While that of Alex McCullum, he needs to win the race and hope for bad luck. A lot of the drivers have already qualified. They're set to go. Justin Brooks deciding to go with mind games again. He will be having the pole position for the featured race because of the top 12 invert. While that of Ryan Matthews, Alex McCullum, they'll be back in 12th and 11th on the green. 40 seconds left. Thank you for joining us again, as drivers are on currently warm-up to get themselves situated. It is going to be 200 laps tonight. Stage 1 at lap 50, Stage 2 at 110. We've seen a lot of different winners here of recently. Justin Brooks is going to be one of the favorites to watch out for. Steele Langford is going to be a driver who's going to be aggressive through the field. But the ones that we got to keep our eyes on is going to be, of course, Alex McCullum, Ryan Matthews. How will they go through the field, and how will the rest of the drivers fray? No fast repairs, 1 extra set of tires in pit road. You can only use that set at our stage breaks. Fuel not expected to be an issue, but the drivers are ready to go racing, and so are we here on LSRTV. Short track racing action Wednesday night here for the Crown Jewel Elite Model Stock Car Series. Check flags out, drivers are getting set and ready to go. Looking like potentially 16 drivers here for 200 laps. Music's on. Grid is showing on our ticker, and that means it's almost time for racing action here tonight. After that, of the top 12 invert from qualifying, it's Justin Brooks, as well as DeMello, going to be your top 2 for row number 1. Row number 2, going to be Steele Langford in the 133, with Scott Bryant going to be in the 50 to his outside. Then you're going to find that of Edwards in the 72, with also Bradley Wilson in the 51 for row number 3. Row 4, going to find that of English, as well as Carpenter in the 60 and the 31. Row 5, going to find Race Control, going to be seeing them racing out here tonight, with Peyton Howell in the 052 for row number 10. Drivers that qualified the fastest but got inverted and pushed all the way back to the middle of the field. It's Ryan Matthews and Alex McCullum in the 11 and number 8 here tonight. Then the drivers that did not qualify as well as they could, Wally Wilson, that of Kenny Brady, who's going to be out there in row number 7. Row 8 is going to be finding us of Cameron Ruggles, as well as Rocky Boyd in the 111. And then finishing out, that actually is going to be our finished out. Only 16 drivers in total here this evening, but 4 missing out. That being Edwards, Wilson, also that of Brady and Ruggles all missing out. So we thought we were going to have 16. Well, let's just race with 12 here tonight. Talked about how we were going to be seeing myself, Sam Dyer, and also now joining me is Justin Prince. Justin, welcome to Short Track Racing. We're here at Southern National.
It's going to be a fun championship battle to see how things fare out. Justin Brooks has to have one mindset coming into tonight. Finish 7th or better, keep it clean, survive, make it to the end of this 200-lapper, and you become a champion.
And Justin, I think we just got the reports, because of the amount of drivers that have come in, that number has been switched up just a little bit. Because of that being not enough drivers showing up, Brooks just has to finish inside of the top 10, and he's good. As we go green, it's only our top 12 able to go racing here. Justin Brooks, Steele Langford, and that of Bryant as we are going. It's D'Amelio and Rocky Boyd. We're seeing battling further back, but up front, it's Justin Brooks, Steele Langford that are attacking one another.
Third on Ford is that battle right now. Sean English trying to battle with Scott Bryant, able to get on Ford. Caleb Hall moves to the bottom now, also trying to bring Bradley Wilson, who kept it clean at Martinsville last time out. Still side by side, Scott Bryant cannot find a hole in the bottom, and this is a bottom-feeding racetrack. You lose that groove here, Sam, you're going way to the back.
Yeah, this is an issue for Brian. He's got to find that space, and I think he might have found it right in front of that of Ryan Matthews, and Matthews hates to see this. He wanted to make sure he kept all eyes on the gate machine of Alex McCullum. But now here comes Matthews. Might get the bumper. Does. 50 shoved back to the outside.
Oh, and a crash at the back of the pack. No caution. We stay green. Preston DeMello was involved with it. Rocky Boyd is also trying to hold on and has spun it out. Brad Carpenter also involved. Caution is out.
And that's right in front of the leaders is going to be Rocky Boyd. And DeMello going to be calling it a night early, has already left the session. And Wally Wilson going to be in pit road. We'll see if that of the 69 wants to get rolling as we take another look at what happened here.
And not a good run for Rocky Boyd III. I think he was expecting more. Just rips it up the track, way too much speed by race car, and quickly draws the caution, gets to the pit lane, parks it. Rocky Boyd now in the pit lane after the tow.
And Rocky Boyd, one of those drivers, short track racing wise, he is still learning and trying to get better each and every series that he goes into, and this season has not been kind to the 116. Still trying to find a way to finish one of these races. We'll see if he can get reset and back out there. Again, no drivers. There is no fast repair in this series, so we'll see if Rocky Boyd can get back out there, but certainly a little frustrated, I gotta say, for that 116, especially with how this started, but gotta get that out of your head, especially for the drivers up front. Steele Langford and Justin Brooks get a little bit close with one another as they're getting ready for this restart.
They traded a little bit of paint during the warm-up. I think just Steele Langford saying, I'm here. I'm ready to battle this out with you. And again, Brooks has the speed to be able to fight on Ford. Here's the tough thing. Is he going to be able to secure the victory? That's a question mark, because guess who's in the mix here? Alex McCullum, Ryan Matthews. They are currently already 6th and 7th, two of the top drivers in this car that you'll see on the service.
And as well, want to give now Rocky Boyd III has parked it. He's done for the day. Wally Wilson has not gotten on track, so we're left with just 10 drivers on the lead lap and on track. Justin Brooks, Steele Langford, English, Race Control, Wilson going to be your top 10 drivers. As here we go, trying to make your decision on where you want to be, and Justin Brooks taking the outside lane. Justin, this is a little different from what we're usually used to seeing.
I think if this is timed up just right by Brooks, though, he can make this line work. He just needs to clear. It's also the major matter of he's got some buddies to work with on the bottom a little bit, possibly. We'll see how this plays out for the restart. Watch the launch. There it goes. Perfect.
Takes off clear, and Steele Langford just has to watch that other 33 on the go, but it's Race Control, that black crown jewel machine on the outside. Can they find an opening to get down to the inner groove? Won't get contact from Steele Langford, and they continue to stay on the outer lane.
Able to hold on to it, though, as the Race Control machine gets shuffled further back. Getting squeezed now by English. Alex McCullum now to the quarter panel as well. See the speeds carried around here. Just a low speed of 76 miles an hour apex. Around upwards of nearly 100 by the end of the straightaways. Very quick, these laps here at 0.4 miles.
And also saw a little bit of a scrub there from Race Control onto the outside of exit of turn forward in the outer wall. Got to make sure you don't get into that outside wall. Could lose a lot of time, especially with how jam-packed everyone is. One downing mistake could be costly. And now for Ryan Matthews, we saw him get aggressive with having the 50 of Bryant in between himself and McCullum. Will we see the same aggression from the 11 again? I mean, for the 51 into that of Race Control, as Alex McCullum giving a little bit of bumps there to English to say, hey, let's get rolling here.
If anything, it helped him. Now 3 wide down the front straightaway. That is dangerous. McCullum backs out of it. Race Control gives a love tap in turn. Steele Langford trying to build up the momentum to try and make that outside groove at least do something here as he looks to hold on.
Each lap less than 15 seconds around, and you can see drivers wanting to get rolling quickly, as it's going to be Alex McCullum once again beating and battering that 60s back bumper. And at some point, it's going to get a little bit more aggressive, but it's still Langford, Alex McCullum, two drivers we saw last week, trading some paint between one another. Will we see it again? And it just looks like for McCullum, if we get to get a little bit more clear, if the 60 can get rolling and find some more speed, McCullum's going to be good to go, but he's just trying to find that a little opening, can't get it, still stuck side by side.
You see how quickly some of these movements have to be and how close they get to the wall. Trouble behind him. Langford getting into the race control. The green cone goes flying. Langford tries to hold on to it and does in turn 4 as well.
And yellow flag will be thrown as race control got tossed to the side, spun around, and wait on that replay. But certainly the aggression there, Justin, it's ramping up already. We're only on lap 20. Here's the replay of the incident.
When you need to hold on to the bottom, you can just tell how close things get. Langford just got into the wall, nowhere for race control to go, and brings the green cone with them. In turn, brings out the caution flag in the 000. Langford also coming to the pit lane with the result of this spin.
And for that is still Langford. I think just feeling like let's get some damage repair done for the 133. Now, different from last week. I know there were a lot of mistakes being thrown out last week at Martinsville. Drivers were given unlimited tires. Here tonight, though, they are only given one set. We're back to the traditional rule that we've been having all season long. You can only use that one set at the stage break. That's either at lap 55 or at lap 110 for these drivers. So still got to be picking and choosing when you truly want to come in for tires. And most likely, like we've seen all season long, Justin, I think stage 2 is going to be that window.
Absolutely has to be that window at the halfway mark, at least. Just keep it simple. It's just a matter of just where are you going to be at that time? How well are you going to execute on that pit lane for being able to do those marks? Those are the two major things. But now for Justin Brooks, as Sean English says hello to him, it's also now about holding off McCollum and Matthews, and this is not going to be an easy restart. With a lot of pressure building up behind, 3 very quick drivers inside the top 4 with them now.
And changing up the pick zone to the inside is going to be the 33 of Justin Brooks. English going to follow suit, but there we go. Wanted to be side by side. Alex McCullum and Ryan Matthews both picking the outer lane for themselves. Then race control, because no one else went high. They're going to move up to that 6th position, 3rd car on the outer groove. A lot of other drivers deciding inside lane is going to be the preferred spot they want to stay at. But here we go. Restart is on, and we're green. And Alex McCullum with the better launch, with Matthews right on that back bumper. But it's Brooks through the corner, a nose ahead, back in the exit 2.
McCollum still trying to make it work with a squeeze. Brooks trying to clear on by. There goes McCollum up the groove. Brooks leads the lap, but can McCollum get the rotation? This is the best we've seen anybody get the squeeze out from that outside line. Brooks, though, still has the preferred line around the bottom of the circuit.
And Ryan Matthews behind these drivers has already found a slot back in 4th place to the inside. It's Alex McCullum who's still being stuck to that outer lane. In English, he's got to keep a nose there. Won't be able to. No, he dive bombs it. Gives a little bit of contact. Here goes from Matthews and others. Chain reaction. And it's going to be seen English somehow holding on for that 60, but he certainly got that cage rattled, and himself as well by the 51.
Looks like race control also trying to gain some spots back. You see Peyton Howell holding on. Matthews dealing with that right rear damage, though, after a bit of the stack up coming to the green flag. Matthews looking okay, though, pace-wise and rhythm-wise. How will that impact things? Long run will be a big thing, possibly throughout this one. We've seen drivers, though, get away with some damage. He's looking like he's getting away for now with it.
And this track, being as small as it is, only 0.4 of a mile in length. These drivers recognizing with the short acceleration time, you've got to be picture perfect almost every single lap or you're going to give an opportunity. And Ryan Matthews not really putting down some of the fastest laps out there, kind of the slowest of everyone on track. Justin, I'm curious for the 11 or 51 on screen on how Ryan Matthews is going to be reacting. I'm curious on if he's trying to save these tires for the longer run.
Wonder if he's just trying to save a little bit, maybe getting tight as well with the damage, which is also a major factor possibly to consider here. Just looks like he has to let the car roll a little bit more in these corners. But that race lead's about to get interesting. McCollum is riding the back bumper of Justin Brooks. And so far, Brooks a couple times is already nearly washed up the racetrack. McCollum is trying to pressurize that number 33 into mistake the points leader.
Points lead, 14 points in total between these drivers. It's Justin Brooks with that points lead. Alex McCullum needing to get the win and needing Justin Brooks to have just the worst day possible. Brooks, on the other hand, timed it perfectly, sandbagged qualifying, waited till the very last moment, realized that the qualifying was going to be inverted. Only 12 drivers qualified before the 33 went out, so he knew his mark and picture perfectly selected 12th place. So he's been out of trouble, but for the 8 machine of Alex McCullum, that rear bumper has been hit and knocked around. Knew he was going to get damaged by the time he got up front, but that 8 is still looking so strong, even here 36 laps into this race.
Well, it's square in the center of the back bumper, so I don't think it's as bad as if it was towards the right rear quarter panel on the racetrack, or especially when it comes to the fenders here. It'll affect a lot of the rotation. See how much that's impacting Matthews in particular a little bit still in terms of the times. He still is holding on to 4th position. Howell still can't close up fully to get there. But I don't think that battle is necessarily over yet, especially with the Roasted Jim's coffee machine being able to rotate the bottom a little bit better than Matthews.
And Peyton Howell certainly was looking quick during the practice session. It was 3rd fastest during practice. He was 3rd fastest during qualifying. And even during warm-ups was pretty quick for the 52. Curious on how well he's going to be going for himself, but certainly for Justin Brooks and others, if this 52 of Peyton Howell can get up to speed, he could be a threat to watch out for. But Ryan Matthews, that damage hurting him solidly here, but we are seeing these drivers, these laps are taken away, Justin. We're now only 15 laps away from our stage break.
And so far, just 0.2 of a second of fall off so far in this one. So I think that's going to be major when it comes to that stage break coming up for drivers to cool down and reset. Wouldn't be surprised if many of the drivers hold on to the tire sets, maybe see 1 or 2 gambles, that's about it. But so far, the top 6 have been looking very consistent in the 14-second bracket. 7th on back has dropped to the 15-second bracket.
And those drivers that are outside needing a little bit more speed could be Bradley Wilson, Steele Langford, Carpenter, and Bryant. Bryant going to be about 5 seconds off of our leaders, so he's about 10 seconds away from going a lap down, which should not happen unless there is a spin out from the 50. So our leaders, they know that lap traffic shouldn't be an issue coming to the end of this stage. But you can just see drivers further back just struggling to get any rotation in that exit speed as well. It just looks like those tires cooked. They were just too aggressive in the early portions. Now just really searching for any type of grip at this point.
Yeah, exactly right now, especially since it's so easy to just plant your foot into the throttle, try and get a good amount of speed coming off the exit, boom, you're in the outside wall. That's not necessarily how you have to do it, because in turn, you end up going too quickly. It shocks the tire, as some will describe. Heat up that right front tire, make it unbearable to rotate, and hurt its ability to be able to, in turn, recover the rest of the run. The more you heat up that right front tire, the worse it can get. After all, there's a curve of temperature for peak performance around that 260-degree Fahrenheit mark. You get past that mark around, say, 280, 300, you're at the very bottom of the curve for peak performance.
All these drivers trying to figure out how do you stay at that balance. Not to overdo it, stay cautious, but right now this battle for the lead continue to stay so close to one another, and this is kind of one of those situations for Alex McCullum. How long do you decide to wait and sit here? We've got 6 more laps in this stage. Could just ride around for the next couple of these laps, or do you make the pressure? I know the pressure for 3rd, though. Ryan Matthews is trying to beat up on that of English, but English holds on for now, but that 60's got to figure out how many more bumps he wants to deal with, or will the 51 just knock him completely out of this race? We saw a lot of that last week at Martinsville, but Justin, these laps tinker away. I mean, I feel like sitting back and relaxing would be a good strategy, but you never know with some of these drivers and their decisions.
And I think right now, just keeping a track of where the stage cautions may lie right now is where some of the strategy is at this point. Originally thought English may have been trying to let by Matthews, but then it was the major low line that really set things to where it looked intriguing. But other than that, that really didn't help Matthews at all. If anything, it hurt both of them in terms of their overall lap times and their overall consistency. Both of them seem to be still just now gathering back that consistent pace.
And now we're 2 laps away from this stage being done, and just like that, in the blink of an eye, these drivers had a caution or 2, but let's take it to the end. White flags in the air for stage number 1 for the drivers, and it's going to be that of Justin Brooks, Alex McCullum, still riding right on top of one another. A little bit of tailgating from Alex McCullum, a little bit of distance in Cap Brew, but McCullum backs off. Yellow flags in the air. Stage 1 is done.
Justin Brooks dominating so far. Now we'll see what happens. Remember, there's just the one set in the pits, which can really change the strategy up a little bit for some of these drivers. If they end up choosing Ron, oh boy. Especially if they try and stretch out old tires for about 140 laps, that will be a major challenge for many.
Yeah, I think that's why we've seen the majority of these drivers with the timing of these stage breaks of being left, with 200 as, Alex McCullum into pit road.
Oh, this might be a 2-tire call maybe, you'd have to think. Try and even out the tires or try and get some track position that way, we'll see. Yes, it is. Left side tires for McCullum, and not a surprise to see just the lefts. Then you see the difference being for Matthews getting damage repair, but also the left side's done.
This was something I was just going to throw out. Do you think about 2 tires? And that answered my question immediately. See McCullum and others into pit road. And they could gain a lot of this time back. A lot of the drivers aren't feeling comfortable with that outside lane when we come to the choose. Majority of the field likes to stay on the bottom, and a couple of more drivers into pit road could be seen. That of Alex McCullum and Ryan Matthews up to 5th and 6th place. These are still good positionings for themselves for this choose cone that's coming up.
You know where I think this comes in especially? If they take a 2-tire stop in the next strategy window for the next end of stage, then you compare that to the 4 tires likely to be taken by the other half of the field. Guess who's starting in front of those who are on 4? McCollum, Carpenter, Matthews. Or specifically McCollum and Matthews, since Carpenter had a 3-second stop. That's going to be wild towards stage 3 for this one.
Gonna be Peyton Howell, Justin Brooks up front. Alex McCullum gonna be up in that 4th place spot. He's got a great launch for the 8th, but it's Justin Brooks. How well can they hold off the drivers that just took 2 tires? As we are green and Peyton Howell already. Howdy pressuring, bumping the 33, and holding on is Justin Brooks as they're slicing and dicing. McCullum's mount made it to the inside.
Howell squeezing, trying to hold on to 2nd. English able to peel him off the bottom. Now shows the little bit of the fender. Howell tries to chomp across it. Howell able to make it work somehow. Meanwhile, McCollum up to 4th off the start.
I think that one bump was Howell's only opportunity to try to get Justin Brooks out of the way and give an opportunity. English, he's right there, almost spinning the 52 around. And it got to be gracing iRacing gods on that one, because I thought for a second that 52 was getting spun.
Yeah, especially with a lot of the shuffling right now going on. More contact nearly, more contact and leaning in turn. Howell with his hands full at this point. I think the give and take is gone. There it goes.
Gave him 5 bushes and bumps, and that was it. Patience was gone for English, getting him out of the way, and here comes Ryan Matthews on the inside of Wilson. 51 versus 51. That blue and that teal and gray going to be that of Bradley Wilson. Ryan Matthews in the black and gray. Yellow 51. Able to make the pass is Matthews for now. Steel Langford's going to be aggressive for the 133. Trying to make all this passing and battling for 5th position are these 2.
Yeah, Wilson just cannot seem to find some grip to the momentum, especially with the amount of damage that's on Wilson's car at this point from some of the checkups. Looking like Langford thinking about giving a space. Nope, instead he'll just dive bomb it into the corner and make the stick to be able to take away the position possibly from Wilson.
We look at Steel Langford, the patterns of this season. I'm not surprised by the aggression by the 133. The issue, though, it's its long run pace for that of Steel Langford. It hasn't been there because of this early aggression when he gets fresh tires. Got to be careful here in the next 15 laps. to watch out for the 133. He might be going in the other direction here if he's not careful. And here comes Race Control, who found himself spun around earlier this race. And now trying to make some moves forward if possible. But it's a wall currently in front of him with Steele, Langford, and Wilson.
Langford just can't seem to get clear, or he can try and bump the wall. And that worked.
Take any assistance you can once you get to these points of the races. These drivers are racing as hard as they can to get by one another. Same can be set for second place as they're side by side as well. Alex McCullum finding an opening with English, and also going to have Peyton Howell following suit. As that wall is not your friend, English, as sparks flare up for the 60 contact, and they spread apart, and Matthews now going to take the advantage for the 51.
Dive it on in as well, English. We'll see how this is fared out for the back straight away. A little bit of a squeeze play gone back, and a little bit of a slide up now as Howell still trying to hold on, gets put on the wall.
Now you got me sideways, I'll ruin your night. Throws him right into the outside wall. Peyton, that of Howell, as well as Wilson, going to be heavily contact into that one. Steele Langford for the 133 is going to be with major front right inch damage for that 133. And wasn't just one driver getting issues, as Howell now just trying to hold on to the wounded 52.
Yeah, that chassis significantly damaged, and I think Howell knows he's got a problem already, reeling himself into the pit lane. That leaves us 9 cars on track, looking even better at this point for Justin Brooks.
Brooks with the 1.1 second lead over Alex McCullum. We'll see this go around. McCullum's been having a lot of, with that issues that he had with getting by English, running just slightly faster than Justin Brooks. But this lead, if we stay green, I think this lead might be able to hold for Justin Brooks until we get to the stage 2.
Yeah, Brooks has the major buffer over the pack right now, seems to be very consistent on his marks. The major thing will be, will there be any tire fall off difference compared to McCollum? The major thing, though, that's the counterpoint on that. Do you really want to push if you're McCollum and Matthews? You're right where you need to be. You're in position to potentially cycle to the lead depending on how things play out for the pit stop window. I think at this point, it's the mixture of, do you want to push and abuse those new left side tires? Or do you want to wait and see what happens when you switch onto the right sides on top of that?
I'd imagine waiting is probably going to be your best option here. Don't want to overcook those fresh tires that you just put on, especially for the left sides. You know it's going to be a long race. You've sat, like you said, right in the perfect spot you want to be, second and third for 2 of the fastest drivers here this evening. Justin Brooks, I feel like really has been showing his cards all night long. Really wasn't the fastest driver, was one of the fastest drivers during practice, the fastest driver during practice. Timed out his qualifying perfectly for positioning wise for the 33 of Brooks, but it's been out that of Alex McCullum right on the heels of the 33 all throughout this session. This next stage break is going to be so key on if there's going to be a true battle or if Alex McCullum's just going to have to sit and watch Justin Brooks get the win and the championship sealer.
Indeed. Keep in mind that Peyton Howell, apparently after a minute of damage repairs, took his set, where you're hearing.
Well, if he took a set and he's back out on track and he's going to be running as hard as he can, Justin, we hate to say it, but we've seen it throughout a lot this season. Could intentional wrecking the 60 be on the table for the 52?
Well, either way, when it comes to that, as he smacks the wall, it's not looking pretty. At this point, Howell's not going to get the lead lap back unless there's a rash of caution flag. So I think at this point, you have to keep an eye on this. If you're the 052 or nearby the 052, it's still ways away from certain people.
And that of going to be seeing the 60 of English. Going to be seen on screen, currently 4th. Trying to close in on the gap for 3rd place on that of Ryan Matthews, and has been doing a good job keeping up with that of Ryan Matthews has been John English.
Oh, and there goes Howell. Howell is spun down the back straight away into the wall.
No yellow's going to be thrown. Leaders go on by. This is that picture. We got to watch out. English is coming up. It's going to be Ryan Matthews and English, the next drivers coming in view for the 52.
In chat, English. Uh-oh. He knows this is a possibility. And now this could get interesting.
Will there be contact, or will the 52 just be honorable, take the loss of tonight, and move forward? But you never know what's going to happen for sure. I know drivers don't want to see this yellow. That being Justin Brooks. What a good lead he's had. But we have to keep eyes on this. The drama filled. Again, it was contact between English and Hal that caused the 52 to get into the outside wall. Initially, it was a bump from Peyton Hal under the 60 that got him loose, that gave the opportunity for Hal to make the pass. And then English came and body slammed 52, trying to get out of the corner. And here we go. There's the bump. He's trying to get at him, and he's going to go for the spin here. Might go for the pit maneuver. He's just going to rattle the cage. Goes straight dive bombing, missing out.
Wow.
And Justin, we hate to see this, but it's going on.
And good and smart play by English to avoid those and know what was coming. No damage. Now he's got to be more heads up here. Howell's trying to break up in front. Just got to keep it aware, and especially if you're battling for position.
And now it's going to be Steel Langford going to be in the mix in the fray. As he's got to figure out how to get by without being involved with this wreck. I mean, the cleanest thing that English could do, and I say that with quotations around it, could be just to spin the 52 around and get him out of the way, being a lap car. But at the same time, we don't want to be seeing this dirty racing that's happening, but we know that a lot of this has been going on almost every single race. Drivers trying to get payback in some fashion. And for English, it might be the smarter move. Just use Langford as a block and as a shield as we're closing in on stage 2.
To be quite frank, I think that's exactly what's going on. Wait a minute. English is trying to pass Langford. Side by side for fourth. Big bobble from Howell, and Payton now still rides the bottom. English trying to clear Langford to get that spot back for fourth.
Gotta make this pass clean. Will do so. And now for Steele, he's got to be careful. This is drama-filled. Right in front of him, he opened Pandora's box at this point, letting English and also Hal be this close to one another.
How is this going to be played? Is it over is the main thing. As race control especially, you'd have to keep it calm at this point. It's very important as a driver to not lose your cool in situations like this. And it looks like Peyton Howell is trying to push away from here, so I think he's calmed down here after what happened before.
Got a little of that frustration out as we are now at the halfway marker. Stage 2 going to be at the end of lap 110 for the drivers, and as we've been watching this drama, the gap for the lead has shrunk, Justin. It is gone down by a half as Bryant's going to go a lap down, leaving us with 8 drivers on the lead lap, but Alex McCullum slowly chipping away. Still a little bit too far back for my liking.
Oh, trouble, turn 3. Hayden Howell backed it up the second we looked away. He backed it down again. Langford jumps on by. Here comes the 52.
There's another clean contact. That's right for the race control, but into the water barrels is going to be Hal. And Hal had to take the tow to pit road.
And that is the end of the ballad that was Hayden Howell's night.
And that has been the struggle for Peyton Hal, being involved with wrecks whenever he cannot finish a race. And this tonight, end of the season, there's no next race to try to get payback, so driver's going to get any retaliation they can. And for the 52, we'll see if once the stage break comes out, if race control wants to allow him to stay, because all that attacking was going on right in front of the race control vehicle. But because we're racing at such a short track, not going to be a lot of space. And as I say that, Peyton Hal has exited the server. We're down to just 9 drivers on track.
On the bright side for English, despite all of that, just a little scuff in the right front, but significant back bumper damage. So it could have been worse for English as he tries to find a way to reel up to Langford. For the end of the stage, not going to happen, but after the stage, it could definitely be on, especially with the different strategies. English, remember, is amongst those who did not take tires during the first stage caution.
And also going to be having that of Wilson, race control, and a couple of others. Going to be on that window. Who's going to have 4 tires? Who's going to use their 2 right sides? As laps tick away, 2 to go here for stage number 2, which a lot more drama filled than stage 1. I see a couple of drivers getting mixy, Peyton Hal and that of English, and Hal's now out of this race. We're down to just 9 drivers on track, 8 on the lead lap. As white flag for stage number 2 is out. This is when we're going to be seeing drivers into pit road. Some taking 4, some taking 2. Strategy all on the line. But one thing's for sure, Justin Brooks wins stage 1 and stage 2.
An absolute domination so far for Brooks. Just 1 lap. Not led by the 33 machine tonight. That going to Brad Carpenter. Exactly the type of night I think Brooks wanted to see, and there he goes to the pit lane, and McCollum right there to catch him.
Here we go. It's those different strategies for first 2 tires. Who's going to have the better option here? Justin Brooks, because of this, you kind of threw it out there, Justin, during stage 1. The advantage coming out of pit road goes straight over to that of Alex McCollum, and now the curious question for that of Ryan Matthews and others, will they get out before the 33? And it doesn't look like it for that of Ryan Matthews.
Looks like Brooks tried to hold on to the race lead with just the right sides. That doesn't work. McCollum, with his call, was 1 second quicker in the box. And remember, there was also the chance to potentially add some fuel in there. That might have been part of the difference too, as well as the timing of where they were positioned within the respective boxes there. So now McCollum's in control of the pack here.
Justin, I feel like you can touch on this a little bit better than I can. What is the major advantage for taking those left side tires a little bit, having it at stage 1 while not taking left sides at all for that of Justin Brooks?
Well, when it comes to short track racing, they have a pretty wider heat cycle band, I've noticed and talked about in the past, where drivers can do multiple very fast laps right off a restart. In fact, gets quicker on some of the restarts. It's just where the fall off really comes into play. That's a major thing. The longer the run, the slower the lap times go, obviously. So the advantage for the left side tires on top of the track position mind is if you're able to cross that up with the right side tires, you can balance that out, make it work with this type of tire for this type of car. It's not something that you can use, obviously, for, say, the NASCAR Cup Series cars these days, though.
Yeah, a little bit too big of tracks and a lot of horsepower that you're going to be dealing with. But up front, what we could have seen if there wasn't an invert, Alex McCollum, Ryan Matthews going to be your front row. Justin Brooks going to be in that in 3rd place. Race control right on the throttle as well. We're green. No more stage breaks. It's all about who's going to get the win here at Southern National Motorsports Park. And it's going to be seeing Alex McCollum breaking away, but the battle for 2nd is still on, and for that of 4th.
Brooks able to clear on by easy. Now it's the matter of holding on to a clean race car. John English not making it easy for Ryan Matthews, meanwhile trying to hound for 3rd position. Race control also in the choo-choo train. Bradley Wilson struggling to hold on as the caboose.
Also further back for that 7th place position is going to be Bryant over Carpenter. As Carpenter went extremely wide, but everyone now single filed out. This is when things get dramatic with some flair. Ryan Matthews, who's been passive, worried about his tires a lot more, I think struggling a little bit more on the longer run. How aggressive does he decide to be here on Justin Brooks? And Brooks, was the fastest in practice, one of the fastest drivers during warm-ups, who had the better positioning after qualifying. Does the 33 decide to get a little bit of aggressive and get those elbows out, going against Alex McCollum?
Too early to be aggressive. It's 80 laps to go. But I think when it comes to 10 to go, if he wants to win and truly feels he's got the pace, that's when those elbows definitely come out, especially when you put on the elbow guards at that point. It's just a matter, though, of being in position to battle for the lead. You get yourself to where you're 1 second back, you're likely not catching up to that or getting a clean pass done with under 10 laps to go. So keep within bumper distance. Keep within a car lane. Put yourself in a true shot. Just save a little bit while you can. Don't do what Brooks is doing almost some of these laps and go too hard on these corner exits and nearly smack the wall down.
You also see a little bit of difference from all these drivers' noses. Some that have used the bumper, trying to get some drivers out of the way. Ryan Matthews has had to do it a couple of times. He's also got his rear end pushed in. Also a little bit pushed in on that right side. 51's gotten battered and bruised, but Ryan Matthews has done a great job tonight, just keeping himself in at least a zone to try to pressure up front. But big kudos to 60 Sean English, weathering the storm of Pete and Hal and up in 4th and still attached to this lead group.
Still looking to sort himself out here too, keeping a decent amount of pace. It's the matter, though, of the long run. That will be critical. And remember, when it comes to drivers like English, different strategy compared to those up towards the very front of the pack with how things have played out. Just has to keep within distance. I think Matthews is the most realistic in terms of the battling for him to try and sort out, as this pack really starts to separate already. Already, this grouping down to 5 cars, now turning into 2 groups of 2 with Race Control as 5th place, losing touch.
Yeah, and then behind Race Control is another quite a large gap to going to be a Bradley Wilson, and then another decent group as where we're going to find that a Carpenter and Bryant, as Steele Langford struggling greatly. He's the 133. Who is already 8 seconds back from our leaders. This is kind of shocking to see. Steele Langford, usually a driver that's battling to make sure he's inside of our top 5.
Remember, when it comes to Langford, just a 6-second stop during the last caution flag, so very old tires possibly on the 133. That's starting to hamper Langford possibly. And he's really struggling in the rotation. Also very battered in terms of the damage from the situation, which really kicked things off for that 60. I think that's really hampering him, all that rear end damage and some of that front end damage he's got.
Yeah, it was with that contact, Peyton Howell, once he got up into the wall after the contact, that, like you said, catalyst to all the madness that we were seeing during stage number 2. Front 2, Alex McCullum, Justin Brooks, still trying to pull away from Ryan Matthews, but Matthew, in his mirror, it is the largest it's been. Out of English, still pressuring, hounding, trying to make any type of mistakes. But Ryan Matthews, not a driver that we usually, when we think about short track racing, I've seen throughout a lot of iRacing, not a driver that makes mistakes very often. So this is going to be most likely English. Might have to give a couple of bumps if he wants to get the 51 and get out of the way.
Usually you see him in first or second battling for the race lead at this point. He's one of the top setup builders as well on the platform, one of the top team owners with Leduc Matthews. I'm surprised to not see him a little bit higher, but I think that damage from that restart stack up is still affecting that machine, still hurting him just that little touch bit. If it wasn't for that, it might be a different story here. But for Matthews, I think he's happy just riding third.
Absolutely. I mean, still a lot of races still to go here as the drivers are seeing these laps tick away. We're only at the start of lap 136. And there's a contact. Oh no! English! One bad bump on the exit of the corner, and Ryan Matthews, that is one spot on the track on the exit where you just have zero control, and that bump really hurting the 51, but somehow keeping up, and I take that away. He's now done.
I think Matthews knows this at this point. Matthews absolutely destroyed, just trying to get off the racetrack at this point.
You can see it's just beaten batter. That front left crushed. Yeah, it is a terrible sight to see for the 51. Going to be coasting into pit road, and a great battle for third. Going to have to go to English as Ryan Matthews, one of our favorites here tonight, going to be done parking it for himself. We're down to just 8 drivers now here at Southern National for the final race of the season for the Crown Jewel E Late Model Stock Car Series. Thank you for joining us Wednesday night short track action on LSRTV. My name's Sam Dyer. With me is Justin Prince, LSRTV Studios, giving you all the great pictures, graphics here this evening. And it goes from watching 2 different battles up front to just one. It's McCullum and Brooks that are still within 4/10 of one another.
And you know, the underlying part of all that now, too, with Matthews now out of the race, they lap Langford, and Brooks basically wins the title from that point forward, because there would only be the 7 lead lap cars if there was trouble. Depending on how many further cars they can lap, then it gets even better when it comes to that number 33's championship hopes. Justin Brooks has to be starting that celebration pretty soon.
I mean, what a season it's been for the 33. He started out, it's kind of one of we knew he was going to be quick, but shocked a lot of drivers, trying to find some extra speed. Didn't win until that second week at Hickory, and he has just been fast ever since. Been a top 3 contender, always a driver going for the wins. But I think what really elevated Justin Brooks over a lot of the other contenders is when the invert became a lot more open, and it was 12. The top 12 was always going to be the invert number. Justin Brooks figured out qualifying at each and every track where he was always up either on the top row or in the top 4 positions for the start of the races, just the better track position, keeping himself out of trouble, while Alex McCullum and other drivers usually would qualify as fast as they could, so it would place them back in 12th, 11th place. They had to work their way through traffic, get damage that was unnecessary, and it would be a battle between the clean 33 and the damaged, wounded Alex McCullum, or that of Dustin Monberquet. Right now, Justin Brooks has been showing out all season long.
There's a reason he led 110 laps to start off this race. Track position is extremely, and I mean extremely, critical in these types of events. The more higher up you are in the field, the less likely you are to get involved in anybody's trouble, as you talked about. So in terms of that, he's definitely smart in that regard. Was able, though, at the same time, Sam, to back up the speed, because some might be up there and then struggle from the early laps or struggle long run. Brooks had the speed to back it up from the get-go this season.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing. Whenever we came to practices, or the practice sessions before qualifying, he would be top of the board, not top 3 each and every week. It was just the consistency that he had for qualifying to always place himself either that of 10th to 12th for qualifying each time, so he was up front for the featured race. I think that was the thing that was most impressive of the whole entire season. That is such a hard thing to be consistent at, to be right around the buffer at that invert, as this is battling for 4th place. Gonna have race control, Wilson, Carpenter. This is a good battle to see who wants to crack into for that of Carpenter up in the top 5. This is the best run we've seen the 31 have all season long.
Carpenter's kept it very quiet all night long outside of that one incident. Start of the race, a bit of a check up in front. Independent Racing Machine just trying to keep it towards the checker flag here tonight. Just hitting his marks, just keeping it out of any sort of major trouble. And it looks like at this point he's trying to set it up to just fall behind Bradley Wilson if he can complete the move.
That's not a bad call at all. Just if Wilson on the inner lane, gonna be a good spot. I think he might be thinking, you know what, maybe we'll try the outside for Carpenter. And a good run for himself. And if he can find that exit speed, Carpenter might have found something with the 51, struggling to get on the out. Oh, no, never mind. Clobbering that outside wall. Carpenter's got to be careful doing that too many times.
And just looking like now, all of a sudden with that, he's taking such a wide arc that he just can't get it to turn down by the apex, like I think he's initially hoping that would happen. And is just trying to make the second line work. That's not going to work full time, though. That's the tough thing. If anything, he's eating up his tires.
I was trying to go for even a wider arc to try to figure out, try to force a 3 wide in the center of the corner. This is what's interesting is, for the drivers further back, they're searching for anything, any type of speed. The drivers up front, they know where you can maximize your speed at all times. Drivers further back, they're still trying to learn that best spot to place yourself, find that consistency overall for a night. And I'm loving the fact that Carpenter is at least trying. I think it's due to the fact that he's not seeing Wilson or Race Control really pick and choose who's the faster driver. It's kind of hard for the 31 to follow just one driver at the moment.
I think he's picked up on the notes here. He's starting to enter the corners a little bit lower than before after seeing it wasn't working before. He also starts to feel a little more confident because Wilson's finally making ground up on Race Control for 4th again. Race Control is pinching right down to the very edge of where that first line is to be able to try and hold on to this spot for everything he's got.
And also got to keep in mind, with the pace that's being put down, Steele Langford in that white and red 133, he is closing in, running about 2 to 3 tenths faster than this group. He's about to be here in about 2 to 3 laps.
Especially if they start rubbing doors here. Langford absolutely flying by 0.3 of a second too close for Wilson. And that opens up the door right there. That's exactly what Langford's looking for. That ate up another 2 to 3 tenths from that near contact.
Yeah, Carpenter, I don't know if I want to be this close, especially with the beating and banging that's going on, but I think he's trying to find that wider mark. Goes to the outside to the core pin, a little bit of contact between the 51 and the 31. And Race Control gets too much into the corner. Sideways, holds on. Here we go again. We're back to the wall.
still looking to find any sort of space. Now, Langford needs to be smart here. He knows the bottom's the preferred groove, and he's already saying he feels quicker, already damaging Carpenter.
Carpenter's got to be careful. If he tries to try the outer lane groove again, Steele Langford's going to go down low, keep an opportunity to make that pass for position. Race control, Wilson, contact. Going to be seeing that race control go down, and immediately throwing the yellow will be race control.
Looked like he just thought he was clear, just didn't get the full clear right there, and now that's going to be a big caution from this point forward.
And at the timing of that yellow, I think Alex McCullum had about a 6-7 lead over Justin Brooks as we take a replay of the Wilson and race control incident. And I mean, the nose was there for Wilson. Race control just came down and nowhere to go.
Just got loose a little bit on top of that to not help. Trying to get fully clear to try and settle out the battle instead. The reward for that, 6th and 7th. It looks like Scott Bryant will be in position to get a lap back. That leaves us with 8 cars on the lead lap still in this one. For a late race restart, Brooks had started backing it on down prior to the time of the caution flag. Now this gets interesting.
This is going to be putting also English and others into a opportunity to go for a shot. I think this is where that choose cone is going to be so important, especially for Justin Brooks. If English goes for that outside lane, English could have an opportunity to try to squeeze in between Justin Brooks and Alex McCullum. If that's 60, he can get a good launch, but that's going to be on if he can get a good launch on the outside. But now it's time to make that decision. Where do you go? Inside, outside, and I think for Justin Brooks, he doesn't really know where he wants to place himself.
Well, the lights are still on currently. I think right now if you're Brooks, honestly, I like the bottom still because of how it's played out. I wouldn't be surprised to see English and race control try the top line at least. And if they choose the top, it might try and draw Brooks to the top. Let's see. I think he is choosing the top. Wouldn't be surprised to see no English chose the bottom here. So at this point, Brooks has only race control and Wilson trying it.
And that's going to be given opportunity. Race control trying to gain some positions. Going to be in that 4th place position. Wilson as well. And this is go time. Less than 30 laps to go. Who can get it done here at Southern National Motorsports Park for the Crown Jewel E-Late Model Stock Car Series side by side? Alex McCullum, Justin Brooks taking off. English didn't get a good launch for himself. Brooks, if he backs up, he's got an opening to get down, but continues to fight on the outside, and now going to drop low right in front of English. That could have been scary.
Looking like he's got a chance to build up a run. McCollum just can't get there currently. Keep in mind, if McCollum wins the race and Brooks finishes in 8th, it's McCollum's championship. Brooks cannot afford to take 2 daring moves and wreck himself out of a championship coming to 25 to go this upcoming time by.
As the drivers continue to race on, Alex McCullum, Justin Brooks right on top of one another. English going to be in 3rd. They're still stacked up side by side further back for 7th place between Wilson and Bryant, but we have to stick up front. Laps a lot more closer between one another instead of 80 laps being the difference. Less than 30, coming to 20 laps to go. And that opening of how these drivers want to attack one another, it's now on for Justin Brooks. The window to be aggressive, try to get on that back bumper, and you got to make sure you don't hit that wall too many times.
Exactly right now. You don't want to get to a spot as well where you end up wrecking your own race and having to work from the very back of the field. So right now, Brooks has that balancing act almost, where you want to win the race, you want to be the racer, but you also want to think about the title fight and try and make sure you don't go too far in terms of pushing the envelope and trying to lick the stamp to the point where you send yourself through the mailbox and knock over the mailbox instead of knocking over, well, celebration fireworks to start off victory lane.
And Alex McCullum, all he needs to do is just be up front, just win the race, and hope a mistake from Justin Brooks if you want the championship. English race control, all now just moving and waiting for any type of an accident, try to pounce on that opportunity. But now is the question also, Justin, I mean, how long can Justin Brooks just wait this out? Because we saw Alex McCullum pull out to the lead, and he's pulling away once again. I think Justin Brooks' opportunities, he might need another caution if he wants a shot at the back bumper of this 8.
I think he needs to right now because McCollum's just got too much momentum, especially with the newer left side tires helping that extra little bit for grip, that extra half a tenth to a tenth a second right now. Brooks is just feeling the effects of those tires right now, just looking like he's just absolutely struggling with rotation.
And as the leaders battle on, 18 laps to go. Battle for fourth also getting a little frisky, where we could see an accident back there as race control has fallen to the clutches of Steele Langford as well as Carpenter, and race control, the outside walls looking close, and now it's Wilson and race control again side by side as our leaders continue to race on. And Justin Brooks, I think he might have found another gear. He's trying to close in that gap with 16 laps to go.
And a bumping and baiting, 2 in the battle with race control and Wilson. Still not over yet amongst them. Race control just way too high up the racetrack in the midst of all this fighting. This is not what Justin Brooks may want, or rather McCollum may want to see, is these two get too aggressive and bounce off each other and trigger the yellow flag with 14 to go here.
And as our cameras stay on this, I'm looking at the timing for our leaders, and Justin Brooks did gain in on 1 lap. The next lap, Alex McCullum retaliated back with another quick lap, and they're keeping it pretty equal distance for themselves. But as we went away, Carpenter, issues for the 31. He really slowed down and had issues, fell back from the back of 5th position back to 8th for 31, and he's slow, damaged, and he might have to head into pit road with 13 to 12 laps to go now.
Looking like that is going to be the case, and guess what? That likely means, and very likely in turn, means a title for Brooks, because that means 7 cars left on the lead lap by several laps now by the time Carpenter, if he elects to come back onto the track, does.
Oh, Brian throwing it down for the 50, a driver that's been a lap down for a multitude of times here tonight. Getting aggressive with race control. This is the opportunity. I mean, race control gets to the outside wall issues and just cannot hold on for that crown jewel machine, and fell from being up in just out of 4th place, now back to 7th, and losing touch to the rest of the drivers. Everyone else starting to space out, and same could be said for our leaders. The gap, a half a second between Alex McCullum and Justin Brooks.
Race control also coming on down, so 6 cars remaining for the final 10 laps or so, coming out 8 laps to go. Colm looking to celebrate another victory, but Justin Brooks, you talked about it earlier, has had the consistency right from the get-go. Now, just needs to make 7 more clean laps, become the first champion in the history of the Crown Jewel E-Late Model Stock Car Series.
Been a clean season. I think Alex McCullum, you looked at the talent at the start of the season, he was the odds-on favorite at times. But Justin Brooks, just those first 3 weeks, emerged and was so consistent in each and every race. Dustin Monriquette came out of that first race week as the points leader, but you could just taste and see that 33 was so strong, so many different variations. You saw Brett Sucks running a 33 machine. You saw that of Steele Langford running 33 and having a strong run. But the true number 33 of Justin Brooks, he's been there each and every week, performing multitude of wins, and now just running consistent here tonight in 2nd place. He's got to hope that he doesn't get caught by English, but tonight has been so good for the 33, winning stage 1 and stage 2, and all he has to do now is just finish for 3 more laps.
3 more circuits, about 1.2 miles to work with. Brooks has the buffer time for the time being over English. Can that maintain itself is the major thing. 2 more times around for Brooks as McCullum looks to secure a victory here at Southern National.
Alex McCullum, he is looking for another win under his belt. The second half of the season, it's been a lot stronger. That first half, he was just caught up with messes, getting wrecked intentionally, issues all over the place. But the white flag is out. Our 1 to go is in the air for Alex McCullum here at Southern National under that Thanksgiving Classic for these drivers. And another win goes to the 8 machine, but the driver that loves to see the lights flashing, the checkered flag, Justin Brooks, Season 1 champion of the Crown Jewel E Late Model Stock Car Series. It's the 33 of Justin Brooks.
What a run for Brooks, what a run for McCollum, but what a season for the 33. And the battle of who had the best speed in number 33. It's Brooks who adds another championship to his trophy case.
The 8 gets the burn it down strategy, the key of the night for Alex McCollum. Taking those left sides at stage 1, then taking the right at stage 2. But for the 33 of Justin Brooks, he just had to go with consistency. As the winner of tonight, the champion, they burn out together. And what a send-off here at Southern National for this season.
And a very fitting end to this season. Good respect shown by both of these drivers all night as they do the tandem burnout here in front of the virtual crowd.
And as they get to burn it out, I mean, Justin, a season of a lot of intentional wrecking that got messy at the beginning of the season as McCollum's engine goes. Justin Brooks most likely going to do his own solo burnouts for the 33, but the consistency from this team has been so strong. He got his win early on, and it has just been survive. It's going to give a bump to Alex McCollum to help him out, try to get to victory lane, get to the wall, but they're going to continue to help one another get to that victory lane spot. But I got to say, what a season it's been, as they'll actually try to do a Polish lap, pushing each other around. This is unique. You never see this very often.
I don't think I've seen a driver try and push another driver for a Polish victory lap, no.
You know, this is what you love about the virtual side of things. You're allowed to do this type of stuff. He got him going. They're going 40, helping pushing this 8 go around. They are cruising with the Polish lap here at Southern National. And Brooks did what he needed to do, and now he gets to the line. He'll have his fun burning down, and as Brooks does that, we'll take a look at the unofficial results of this evening. What a night it was. We thought we were going to have 16 drivers. It got cut down to just 12 that officially started this race. And getting the win is going to be that of the 8 machine of Alex McCollum. Justin Brooks going to come away in second, as well as getting crowned the champion here this evening. Then we're going to have that of the 80 of English going to be in third, with Steele Langford in fourth. That of Wilson finishing in fifth, with that of Bryant in 6th, as well as Carpenter finishing out in 7th place. Race Control finishing out in 8th. Ryan Matthews not able to finish this race completely, but he'll come away in 9th, with that of Peyton Howell coming away with 10th place after the way his night went.
11th spot unofficially goes to Preston DeMel, who made it to the pace laps. Rocky Boy III made it 3 laps. Non-starters, Wally Wilson, Boyden Edwards, Kenny Brady, Cameron Ruggles, your 16 drivers who made it out to Southern National.
Well, the season is almost done for us up here in the booth. We still got a little bit of post-race action for you, so don't get away. But we're going to step aside for a quick moment, because we'll have interviews of our top 3, Alex McCollum, Justin Brooks, and English. We'll be back in just a few. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to LSRTV's post-race show for the Crown Jewel E Late Model Stock Car Series for the Thanksgiving Classic here at Southern National Motorsports Park. And what a race it was. We've got our top three, and we're going to start things off with third place runner of that of English. Sean, tonight, a wild one for yourself. Probably the driver that had the wildest story. But, man, how was your night, though, for yourself to come away with third place here tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun for sure. Definitely had some people that weren't exactly pleased with some of the moves I was making. But I'm a strong believer in eye for an eye. So I just did what was necessary. I didn't even realize that I was third until that last caution. And on the last caution, saw that I was third, so I just gave it all I had. Knew I wouldn't have anything for Alex and Justin. They're both amazing racers. So I just tried bringing home whatever I could and tried keeping the car alive while the whole mess was going on.
How difficult was it to keep that whole car alive during that sequence?
I mean, I'll give it to the other driver. He's he's determined. He's determined for sure. I mean, he definitely almost got me a few times, but luckily I have my fair share of being targeted, so I was able to get around it.
I mean, Sean, a complete great run for yourself, I gotta say tonight. But we saw at moments you had to get aggressive, use that bumper to get by other drivers. How was it for yourself just trying to navigate everyone else around you to get to this third place position?
Yeah, I mean, at Southern National, it's pretty much a one-groove track. It's wrap the bottom in the center of the corner. It's a harder track to pass at, and I knew that there's going to be opportunities where I had to pass them maybe a little bit sooner than they wanted to be passed. So I didn't completely dump them or wide open them. I just tried giving them a slight little nudge just to move them up the track a little bit so I could sneak by.
Well, it was a great run overall, and before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
I'd like to thank, first off, everybody that showed up for making an amazing race. LSRTV for broadcasts, and Cameron Ruggles for putting on the league. I'd like to thank Cousin Wade. He really put it out there in the shop this week. RKM Motorsports, RKM Setup Shop, everybody at Sean English Racing, the whole TTK group, amazing guys, and all the fans that are there watching.
That is going to be the 60 machine of Sean English. Comes away with a third place finish here tonight. Congratulations on your run, and good luck next season, as we're going to change things up. Usually we go to second place, but we're actually going to go to victory lane here and talk to Alex McCullum. Alex, you had to fight through the field again. You're the fastest driver during qualifying, but that meant that you had to go to the middle of this field. How was it this go around going through Southern National?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I think I started 12th or 10th. Someone got an EOL, so I just played it patient and picked one at a time. I tried a different strategy this race, and it felt like it worked out. The tire wear was pretty bad this race, so I just put new lefts on and in the first stop, and then put my rights on in the second stop.
I was about to ask with the strategy, how that was the decision making on that one, but of course you had the speed to back it up. What was that like, though, to try and hold off Justin Brooks and try and find a way to distance yourself from the 33 during that third stage, knowing that he had the fresher right side tires on the car?
Yeah, I knew Justin was going to be hard to beat, so I kind of had to come up with a game plan and try something to get around him. So I did put the lefts on the first stop, and then took like 2 gallons to make it on fuel because I saw we were low, and then I didn't ride for a bit. When I got up to second, after I got around Sean there, I kind of tried to push it, see what the car got, and then at the end I kind of slowly catching them, but I don't think the lefts meant a lot at that moment until I put the rights on.
I mean, Alex, what a run for yourself. But man, I gotta say, for the whole season, I know coming in tonight you were kind of asking for a miracle to happen for Justin Brooks to have an off night, but what was going through your mind throughout the night for the championship? Were points ever on your mindset at all during those last couple of laps?
Not really. I knew it was gonna be hard to beat Justin in points this race because everyone races each other with a lot of respect. So I knew there wasn't gonna be any issues. Someone taking each other out and all that stuff. But I didn't know I was second in points until we actually got on the grid. So I just raced Justin with a lot of respect, and whatever happened, happened, and I'm glad he won the championship.
Well, Alex, it was a great season overall for yourself, but before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I gotta thank you guys for broadcasting, Ruggles for everything he done for this league. It was a great first season. Looking forward to the second season, and JDR Graphics and LMR.
That's going to be Alex McCullum and the 8 Machine. Congratulations on the win here tonight at Southern National, and good luck next season. As we go from victory lane to talk to the champion of the inaugural Crown Jewel Elite Model Stock Car Series. It is going to be that of the 33 of Justin Brooks. Justin, congratulations on the championship, and congratulations on a clean run here tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys. I thought we had a shot at the win there that first part of the race. The car was on a rail and we were saving the tires a little bit, and I feel like we had a better pace than Alex, but I didn't even know that when he went to pits he took left sides, and when he pitted again he took right. So he had an extra 50-something lap advantage of me on the lefts, and it wasn't that much of a difference, but it was enough where I basically had to hit my marks perfect, and a little slip up I just lose ground on him, and it just made it too hard there at the end to try to get around him. And there about 16 to go, I just gave up. I was like, there ain't no point just sitting here trying to drive my butt off and get up there, and it's basically going to have to move them to pass them and take us both out of it when I can sit here and ride in second and get the championship. So I just tried to play it smart and let him get that win and all, and because I mean he was the fastest car at the end.
Talk us through the championship though, because it seemed from our perspective the consistency was there from the get-go, from the start of the season on forward. And it really came to play with the field inversions. Talk us through this season to become the champion.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is playing a strategy and qualifying, and just trying to put myself in position to wait to the end and look at the leaderboard and make sure I'm in the right spot or close enough to the top of the invert so I can be at the front. Just mainly keep myself out of trouble. It ain't really saving tires or anything, but I just feel like if I start 12th my luck, I'd probably get involved in some wreck, and that's the last thing I need. But we played that pretty good, and the last few races have been really good, really clean for the most part, and it's just been beneficial of that, because I feel like anytime we've had a clean race, we've been a top 2, top 3 car every single week, and we won 2 races. Should have won a third at Sobo, but I screwed that up myself. I made a rookie error. I don't know what I was thinking, but besides that, I mean, it's been a great season. Like Alex said, it's a pleasure to race against him, Dustin Marquette, and there's a few other drivers who weren't here tonight. They're just a pleasure. They're fast, they're clean, we race with respect. If we give a little bump to each other, we're going to let off and let them gather back up, and it's just so much fun racing with somebody like that. And Alex brings out the best of anybody. He brings out the best of me every single week, and he pushed me to my limit, and I appreciate him for that, and hopefully I pushed him to his limit. I don't know if he was sandbagging or what, but he could answer that for you. But for me, I had a lot of fun racing him and these other guys this season, and it's been a great first season.
I mean, Justin, talk on that a little bit more. I mean, you just talked about how good of a competition this field was. How does it feel knowing that you were the driver that was most consistent, got the championship with the type of competitors that we had this season? It's
very rewarding, very satisfying. I mean, it's to come in here with a caliber field like there is in this league, and like I said, win the championship, knowing these guys are on you every single week, and a little slip up in a finish when you got to be consistent can basically determine the champion or not. Especially when I had that one race, so I got wrecked at Langley and New Smyrna. I mean, it's tough. Like it's really tough. So nights that you have bad luck, you're just wishing they have bad luck, even though you're friends. And you're like, all right, just let him finish one spot behind me, you know. But it's like I said, it's very hard. You got to be on your A game every single week if you want to run up front and compete for a championship here, especially like I said, against these guys.
Justin, congratulations. You are the champ. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
He keeps telling me to do it. I want to thank Cousin Wade over at the Fab Shop bringing a great car this week. I want to thank Alex for racing me clean every single week and pushing me to my limit. Cameron Ruggles for putting on the league. You guys for putting on just top-notch broadcasts every single week. It's a pleasure to go back and rewatch them. the guys over at Wheel and Dealing Motorsports, Cody and Casey Kelly. I want to thank Justin Brooks Designs. I might as well send my own self a plug out there. And thank whoever else is watching out here for supporting the league and go on to season 2 and maybe have the same success.
That is going to be your champion of the inaugural season of the Crown Jewel E-Late Model Stock Car Series, Justin Brooks in the 33 machine. Congratulations on the championship. Congratulations on a second place finish. And enjoy this off season knowing that you are the champ. Well, Justin, what a season it was. 10 races for these drivers. A plethora of different winners, different carnage, intentional wrecking, madness. But one driver gets the championship, that of Justin Brooks. I know Alex McCollum got the win, but the consistency by the 33, what a season he had.
And knowing the experience when it comes to other platforms with Justin Brooks, that really, I think, paid dividends throughout this entire series, because that helped with a lot of the composure to know what you need to do to be a champion, since he's been a champion in big stages in the past. This is another example of Justin Brooks' ability when it comes to short track racing that he had been also developing while on those championship runs in the past couple of years on our platforms, to now be able to become a champion as well, to add things to his repertoire of the iRacing side. Absolutely huge for Justin Brooks in his career so far.
I mean, Justin Brooks certainly was a driver that just kept on poking his nose in the beginning of this season. And you could tell the speed was there because the consistency kicked in, and it certainly did after that second week of racing, race number 4. I think from that point on, Justin Brooks was for sure a driver to watch out for, to go for the championship. He got it done. Alex McCollum's luck didn't change until it was too late. And at that point, the championship was already in the hands of Justin Brooks. All he had to do was just finish up front, and he did just that here tonight with a second place finish and now crowned champion. Justin, thanks for working with me this season. It's been a pleasure. I know we've been a revolving door of people coming into the booth, but thank you for being here for the majority of the time, and the floor is yours for any final thoughts of this season.
It was definitely wild, to say the very least, in the races that we did see when I was in the booth. It seemed plenty of memorable moments, but plenty of stars all coming out to line each other around the Crown Jewel LMSC throughout this series. I think it's been a fun campaign. Can't wait to see what happens from here on forward.
Season 2, we'll see. Will there be a bigger field? Who's going to go after Justin Brooks as he's got the target on his back? The champ is now here after tonight, and it was a spectacular season. Thank you to Justin Prince for joining me. Thank you for also Wesley Outland, John Mushton Jr. joining me up in the booth. My name is Sam Dyer from LSRTV. Thank you for joining us for another amazing racing action. Short track racing Wednesday night is going to come to a conclusion with tonight. It was a blast. It was a pleasure. And after one season of 10 races overall, it is Justin Brooks in the 33 machine who will become the champion. Congratulations to Justin. Thank you for joining us again. We're going to be off for quite a while here on LSR TV. We'll be back in about a week and a day, as it's going to be next Thursday when we are back for that of the Northwest Truck Series. Then we will be having all of our usual racing action back for normal coverage. Thank you for joining us here tonight. We'll see you next Thursday. That is our next coverage again on LSR TV. And thank you for joining us for this inaugural season of the Crown Jewel E-Late Model Stock Car Series. Thank you, and have a good night. And congratulations to Justin Brooks for being the champ.